Welcome to Native Yoga Toddcast. So happy you are here. My goal with this channel is to bring inspirational speakers to the mic in the field of yoga, massage, bodywork, and beyond. Follow us at Native Yoga and check us out at nativeyogacenter.com. All right, let's begin. I'm so excited to be here today with Nikunja Vilasi. Thank you so much for being here in studio. You made the trip driving up from Miami to visit me here at Native Yoga Center today. Thank you so much. How are you feeling?
My pleasure. I'm feeling great. So grateful to be here.
Amazing. Well, let's begin with how did you arrive here in Florida? Are you originally from Florida? Where were you born and raised?
Yeah, first I'd like to begin with the invocation,
Please.
if that's okay.
Yes.
It's a very special, auspicious day. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Gorachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tada Bhaktaya Namo Namaha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I would like to offer my unlimited and heartfelt Dandavat Pranams, obeisances unto the dust of the lotus feet of my spiritual master, my Diksha Guru Devi, Srimati Shamarani Goswamini, my Param Guru Devs, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and my most dear Shiksha Gurudev Mahayogi Sri Dharma Mitra. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for having me here, Todd.
Yes.
I hope I can share something of value to your esteemed guests and audience.
Well, thank you so much for being here. You already shared some value, so I feel like we've already accomplished our goal. So we might as well dig in a little deeper.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm so curious, where do we start? And if we start with, where were you born and raised?
Yeah. So I was born in California, and then I lived in Arizona very briefly, but I grew up most all of my life in Orlando. And I suspect I've been kind of on this yogic path since birth, in a sense. My mom had a yoga studio in California, so when she was pregnant with me, she was doing yogasana, listening to mantras, and then I grew up here in Orlando in Catholic school, and by the age of 7, I was already wanting to be vegetarian, started meditating, had a very firm belief in karma and reincarnation, and so I was very confused, and that kind of led me to really seek to connect with the Lord through service, karma yoga, good deeds. I was an activist most of my life, especially as a young adult. I was doing lots of environmental activism, social justice activism, especially through Boy Scouts as well. I was an Eagle Scout. And then I ended up taking my first yoga class at 16 years old with my father, full Bikram hot yoga class. And I was immediately very attracted to the practice of yoga asana. And later on, I went to college at the Johns Hopkins University to study public health. And it was during this time that I started to experience a lot of suffering in my life, physical suffering, family problems, emotional distress. And that led me to taking a break from school for a year, right as the pandemic started. And it was then that I decided to get really serious about yoga. And so I went fully vegetarian, started practicing every day, and started studying spirituality. So that's leading more into serious practice of the Hatharaja and the Gyan Yoga, studying the sacred texts. And after I graduated from college, I went straight to India, to Rishikesh, to do my first yoga teacher training in classical Hatharaja yoga. It was there where I first met the devotees in Rishikesh Kirtan Mela and had that experience of Bhakti Yoga, the yoga of love, chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And then since then, I've been traveling all around the world, trying to study with the best yoga teachers, trying to be sincere and advance my practice. I studied all the different disciplines of yoga. I did Kriya Yoga. I did Vipassana, 10 days of meditation with the Buddhist monks. I was living in Mexico, teaching for some time, teaching in India. Last year, I was in New York City with the esteemed Sri Dharma Mitra. And now, about 6 months ago, I moved back to Florida to be here in Miami under the guidance of my guru Shamarani Dasi at Sacred Vedic Arts Bhakti Yoga Center in Miami, Florida. And so now I am teaching there, serving there, traveling to teach around the nation and internationally, and really focusing in on Bhakti Yoga.
Amazing. Wow. Great job summarizing. Well
you.
done. Yeah. Well, then, when did you take your vow as a sannyasin?
I'm definitely not a sannyasi.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's different levels to being a monk. So in our tradition, in Gaudiya Math, we have white cloth and orange cloth brahmacharis. So I follow regulative principles that all devotees follow. The 4 principles for freedom include celibacy, no intoxicants, no meat eating, no gambling, and then chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra for a certain amount of time every day.
Yeah.
So everybody follows those. Yeah. And then since I'm a white cloth brahmachari and I live in the temple, I have extra commitments of service. And because of my initiation, I have extra spiritual practices that I do. And for instance, the ones who are orange cloth are fully renounced in the sense that they can never get married. They can't have any personal belongings that are excessive, like no car, no bank account, these sort of things. So I'm in a level below that where I am maintaining my vows while living at the temple. And of course, whenever I come outside and travel and teach, but I'm still allowed to go out and teach yoga and have a bank account. I have a car, I still have this level of interaction with material life. Yes. So it's an interesting balance.
That's cool. Yeah. Do you have dreams, aspirations of making that full orange robe commitment, or are you feeling content with the current way that you're practicing and involved in the community?
Yeah, well, I really love it. In the natural Varnashram, the 4 stages of life in the Vedic culture, you're first a brahmachari, which is what I am now, like a student and a sevak, someone who's serving and learning about the Vedic culture. And then you go to your grihastha family life where you get married and have children. Then around the age of 50, you go to varnapras, which is going to the forest, renouncing material life and focusing on your yoga practice. And then you have your final stage of life where you are preparing for liberation, union with the Lord. And so basically, traditionally, most people would be taking some sort of renunciation in their elder years, though I am not sure necessarily if I aspire to that completely, in the sense that I think I have a unique role to kind of be in between this modern yoga world and this very rich and ancient tradition, and that going all the way in that sense would kind of limit of what I'm able to do, mostly with regards to etiquette and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it's possible. I mean, it's all the Lord's mercy.
Yes. Yeah. Just kind of see how are you adjusting so far? Are you feeling like it's reasonable? What is one of the bigger challenges that you've felt? What does it feel like to walk into Whole Foods or any store for that matter, and with robes on? What type of feeling and energy are you picking up off people, and curiosity? And are people questioning, or do people, I'm sure you feel it all, but I'm just curious, what are you noticing?
Yeah, they love it.
Yeah.
There's all levels of consciousness that exist on all the species of life and within the human species as well. And so very rarely do I have any negative reactions. Mostly people are curious and very interested and attracted because we try to maintain like a level of sattvic mode and purity. And of course, people are very interested in the dress. Funny enough, my temple is right in the design district in Miami, where they have Gucci, Louis Vuitton, all of these incredible designers. And we go out on Harinam Sankirtan, chanting in the streets regularly there. And people always think we're the best dressed. And so, people are very curious. I like to speak with them about who I am, what I do. I like to share with them spiritual knowledge, spiritual books, spiritual food. And I think it's definitely interesting that in this unique role, like I go out and I teach yoga and I'm not wearing this. It's like impossible for me to teach yoga when I'm doing this. I go out and I do retreats. I also go to all different sorts of places, conferences, temples, home programs. We go even to music festivals preaching as well. So my temple is a preaching center, so we go everywhere. And that's actually what my guru wants. We shouldn't be limited by our dress or by any external thing. It's really what's in the heart.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
So is it through the temple that organizes for these different ways that you'll interact in social settings. Is that kind of how that goes?
Well, there's certain etiquette that we follow. I mean, of course, like maintaining celibacy, you have to be strong. It's very difficult. It's a very difficult challenge. Sri Dharma speaks about this a lot. So in terms of just being very chaste and respectful as much as we can, and knowing time, place, and circumstance of how we interact with people. I like to joke a lot, but we have to be mindful about that as well, you know. And I would say that there's nothing that limits my ability to go out and be in society and be active.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what my guru wants me to do. She wants me to be coming to teach yoga. She wants me to be doing podcasts like this. She wants me to be everywhere as a representative of our temple and the Lord to share this knowledge with everyone.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that sounds a little counter to maybe my assumption ideas about monkhood, in that from a renunciate angle, it'd be as if I want to remove myself from societal interaction. This sounds a little more like, it's like you said, a good blend between the both, where you get to still adhere to the monastic vows, but also still be in the public eye and moving around. So I could see where that would be, you know, if you're a social creature, that might actually make it more possible than if you were kind of removed and in a temple and not having interaction outside world. Now, am I completely wrong in that assumption that aren't there some renunciates that do try to remove from societal interaction? Yeah.
So of course there's many different yoga traditions, and we can think about like the yogis who are meditating out in the mountains with no possessions. This is actually much easier to do than to exist in society, interacting with people and maintaining your spiritual practice. But going back a little bit, the internal practice and internal mood is actually what nourishes our ability to do anything external. So all of my external preaching and activity comes from that foundation of that internal spiritual practice and sadhana. And the Bhakti Yoga tradition, we actually don't seek to renounce ourselves from the world. We seek to be in the world, preaching, sharing this love, this divine love, sharing this knowledge. And even the sannyasis in orange, these very senior monks, many of which come from India and they travel all around the world all the time preaching. They're literally traveling the whole year round. Sometimes they take rest in summer monsoon season in India, but they're not just locked in their room alone chanting and reading. That's actually not recommended in the path of Bhakti Yoga to do solitary bhajan or worship. You're supposed to be in community with other devotees under the guidance of a senior devotee or guru. And so that's something that is very beautiful and unique about this tradition, and also specifically my temple and my guru, Sacred Vedic Arts. We're a very modern preaching center. Like, we do all sorts of stuff. And it's really cool to be able to explore all these different environments and to do it in a Krishna conscious way.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, back to when you were in Rishikesh and you had an opportunity to chant in the Bhakti tradition there. Did you already have in the back of your mind a curiosity to taking the path that you currently are on? Or when did that fully come into realization for you of I want to go in this direction?
Yeah, well, you know, since I got really serious about yoga in 2020, I had always been interested in trying to be the best yogi I could become, and seriously, intensively studying the yoga systems. Like, I come from a science background. I study public health at Johns Hopkins. So I approached it all in a very methodical way and evidence-based way, trying out all these different yoga systems and seeing what works for me in my life. And I would say when I was in Rishikesh, I was finally really ready to receive the mercy of the divine love after really intense tapasya of yoga teacher training and bathing in Ganga so often. I was in a sattvic and receptive state to listen to the holy names and feel the love in my heart, the likes of which no human tongue can describe. And when I tasted that, I was like, whoa, this is unlike anything I've ever done before. This is simply ecstatic, you know, tears, all the hairs on your body standing up, that divine love and joy that we're all seeking and we all want. And so when I encountered that, I became very curious about Bhakti Yoga, but I wasn't necessarily fully committed to Bhakti Yoga at that time. It took me some more years of traveling around through the world, studying different yoga systems, more suffering, more sadhana, more surrender, more suffering, more sadhana, more surrender, more and more and more until I got to the point around last year where I realized this is what I want to do with my life. I want to fully commit to studying and practicing Bhakti Yoga.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm super curious about your experience that you're mentioning that I get the feeling that you're feeling like it's impossible to put into words, having a transcendent or ecstatic experience and connection. How in the Vaishnava tradition of Krishna consciousness, how is it explained that actually happens? Like in some of the yoga systems, we'll hear the term Kundalini, and there'll be this concept of, working energy through the body or through a chakra system. Maybe this isn't so much a part of the traditional Indian yogic world, but maybe it's just a more modern languaging of this idea that like we can tune our frequency, or we can, if we were like a radio dial and there's a certain frequency, different lower vibrations, higher vibrations, that potentially we can dial that to tune into something. How in your own experience would you try to put into words, that sort of experience? Like, what do you think happens? And I guess I have another question after that, but I'd like to hear how you would attempt to put that into words.
Yeah. Well, actually, funny enough, the more you try to explain it, the less sense it makes.
Yeah. That's what seems to happen with all this stuff. That's why
exactly.
I know we're going down an interesting slope on the road here, but I'm just,
but I guess like metaphysically, it's very much a heart-based, heart-centered tradition. You could kind of say with the Anahata chakra, but it goes down even deeper into the soul level, because through the practice of yoga, all these different systems, we realize our true identity is the soul. And we say in our tradition, Jivera Swarupa Hoy Krishnera Nityadas, which means that the topmost expression of the soul, first, the topmost desire of the soul is to love and to be loved. That's what we're all seeking. That's what we all want. We're serving our family, serving our loved ones, serving our pets, serving our guru, we all want to be in service and to love and to be loved. And we're all seeking that in so many external ways. And really it's within. And so the true and the highest expression of the soul, if that is its ultimate desire, is to be in loving service to the Lord Krishna. And so the way that we can begin to cultivate that service mood or plant the seed of loving devotion in our heart, which is called the Bhakti Lata Bija, begins with the process of chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, which is a transcendental sound vibration, spiritual vibration, just like you're talking about. It's not of this material universe. It penetrates through the spiritual realm into this material universe and gives us that direct, immediate, one-shot, straight connection with the Lord. And so chanting is the beginning of everything. And I would say after chanting comes the importance of sadhu sangha, which is having senior devotees, senior spiritual masters who can guide you on this journey, because they're the ones who can actually nourish that seed and correct you and help you grow it. And with more practice and with more time, you can begin to experience more control of the mind, more surrender, more states of bliss and happiness. And it's funny because oftentimes in the beginning, Krishna is very merciful. He pours a lot of love and attention onto the people who are just beginning. But if you know anything about him, he's also very tricky. So he's kind of always in this mood, even with his beloved Srimati Radhika, his divine consort, of togetherness and separation, togetherness and separation. So while he's always there in our hearts and in the spiritual realm, crying, wanting to connect with us, he also puts us through these periods of separation and closeness that actually makes the heart grow fonder, because you long for that love and that connection. And so then you have to become consistent in the practice and chanting to continue developing that relationship. And ultimately, this bliss and this love is always actually available to us, depending on the purity of our heart and the sincerity of our chanting. So really, it comes from the spiritual realm. It enters our heart, and from there, we can begin to experience the ecstasy, the bhav. But the full experience of it actually is too much for our physical body to handle, this mundane material body. So that's why we're aspiring to be liberated from death, birth, old age, and disease in order to take on our spiritual body, where we are at Krishna's topmost planet in loving service with him, and we have a perfect spiritual body that can actually fully relish the moods of this nectarian divine love.
Interesting. Yes. Yeah. When you say that, it helps me to think similarly. You had an opportunity to go sit Vipassana in India, the 10-day silent retreat, which is under the guidance of Goenka, who's passed, but under the Goenka tradition. And I had a chance to sit Vipassana and really enjoy it, and got a little bit more interested in studying Buddhist philosophy. And that's where I started to understand this idea of attempting to do purification to the point that then we won't need to return back to planet Earth if there is a cycle of reincarnation happening over and over again. Because if we suffer here, maybe we think it would be nice to be able to get off the train of suffering and, be able to move away from that somehow. And so I'm curious then in relation to, I really appreciate the tantric schools that kind of teach this experience of attempting to, see this reality as divine and completely all one with God. So I guess I'd love to hear if you see that there's any difference, or is it all the same, of these two ideas of samsara equals nirvana, like that this plane of existence is all God, or if that's true, then why would we want to eventually leave this vibration to go into somewhere where we wouldn't need to feel the suffering that exists here on planet Earth? Does any of that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Did you follow that?
Actually, this is really the heart of what I wanted to get to, the heart of yoga, because we're doing all this practice, we're doing all this austerity, we're traveling around the world, spending thousands of dollars and thousands of hours on all these yoga teacher trainings and immersions. We're spending this time meditating in all these different traditions, studying all these different traditions. But what is the goal, right? That's really, really important to know what is the goal. And so, funny enough, the Vipassana tradition I did in Florida, actually, at a Theravada school. And by the end of it, as soon as I was done, I was back chanting Hare Krishna on my job. I found it interesting, but not satisfying, because this is the thing, is that the goal of yoga is love. The perfection of yoga is love. Sri Dharma says, radiant health, mystical powers, self-knowledge, boundless energy, all of these are actually the side effects of yoga and not the goal of yoga. He says the goal of yoga is self-knowledge, but then you go to the question of who is the self. We both understand the self is the soul, which actually Buddhists deny the aspect of the self. So it's actually an atheistic school of thought. They believe there is no soul, there is no self, there is no creator. And that's also very popular in a lot of the modern yoga circles. Many of these teachers, many of these influencers are actually all atheists because they don't believe there is a creator. And the goal that they have is this idea of nirvana, which is kind of uniting with the oneness, right? We hear often, all is one, God is one. But actually, the second part of the Sanskrit I was quoting, Jivera Swarupa Hoy Krishnera Nityadas, Jivera Tatasta Shakti Beda Abeda Prakash. So we follow a school of separation, but also sameness. So the soul is equal in quality to the Lord, because the soul, Atma, is the expansion of the Lord, but it's different in quantity. It is like we are one speck of light and He is the sun. And many people confuse the light of the sun with the Lord Himself. People want to merge into nothingness. They want to go escape samsara and merge with Brahma Jyoti, which is this light, right? This endless light of pure consciousness, where ultimately that is actually not the correct goal, because the thing is there is no loving relationship. You're nothing. You have no more ego. You're doing nothing. You're floating around in nothingness. It's not very fun or exciting. And this is also atheistic, because it's denying the fact that the Lord has a form. He has qualities. He has a character. He has a name. He has a body. He has pastimes that He likes to play. He is not nothing. In fact, that is very insulting when you think about it. God, you're so ignorant. You have no brain. You have no mouth to speak. Have no hands to create. You're nothing. And if you go and look into Gita, this is clarified, because Krishna says, I am Brahman. I am this effulgence of the Lord. That is an aspect of me. And then He says, those who worship other forms of God, which is actually totally recommended in the Bhakti tradition. No matter which form of God you worship, as long as you do so perfectly, you make advancement. But even still, if you're worshiping another form of the Lord, he says you're actually worshiping me. He says, I am the source of all material realms, spiritual and immaterial. And the topmost of all yogis is not that who is most austere, not the scholar, and not the it's not the most austere, not the scholar, but actually one who is fully absorbed in me at all times, in Krishna consciousness, thinking of me and in loving service to me. So this goal, which is very appealing to many people, of becoming nothing, merging with Brahman, is actually, as Sri Dharma explains as well, like a form of spiritual suicide, in the sense that you're losing your self-identity and you are becoming nothing, and you have nothing to do, nothing to experience other than that pure bliss of consciousness. But that's actually not fulfilling to the soul. The soul will fall down from this plane, because the soul's true desire is to experience love and loving relationship with the Supreme Personality of God. So the goal in the Bhakti Yoga tradition is to be forever engaged in loving service, going through the material planets, through all the different universes, through the Brahmajyoti, through this effulgence, past Shiva's planet, past Vishnu's planet, all the way up to Krishna's topmost planet, where he's having endless nectarian loving pastimes with his gopis and gopas, cowherd girls and boys. And it's like, you can think about it like, why would you want to become nothing and do nothing? Or do you want to hang out with the coolest guy in the universe for all time in a perfect spiritual body, having endless loving pastimes?
Yes,
so,
yes.
yeah, it's different, but this is an important topic and important thing to understand.
Yeah,
do you have any questions about that?
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to map that out, because I feel like that's something that, when I had a chance to hang out maybe I should say it differently. I had a chance to practice yoga with Krishna devotees in Alachua when I was 18, and I started reading Bhagavad Gita and was really fascinated and thought, wow, because I also grew up in the Catholic tradition.
Yeah, of course.
And you start to wonder, what's the real deal here?
Yeah.
What do we what's going on? And I felt really connected to the Bhagavad Gita, and I felt like it spoke to me. When I had heard about Krishna Loka as a supreme heaven, so to speak.
Yes.
I guess where I started to get misaligned or dismayed, or I don't know what the right word is here, is then when I see each religion touting, if you take this path, we have the best real estate in heaven.
Yes.
And another one will say, well, we have the better real estate in heaven. And I feel like that almost deterred me, because
of course.
It seemed a little, well, A, how are we knowing that this is real? And then B, I want to believe it's real, but the fact that each one kind of has this sort of way of trying to get us attracted or interested.
Yes.
And I just want to be very honest with my
please.
questions.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you for being open to hearing
absolutely.
and to listening, because I just love to talk and find out like how we can reason or think this through. Or
perfect.
Do you ever struggle with that? Was the experience that you had in India with the feeling of heart opening, and maybe it wasn't just in India, there's a good chance this morning practicing service for
it's something that you experience all the time, actually.
That maybe you're feeling that you're able to stay in connection with that. So I would love to just hear how, if that is challenging for you, if you've had any hurdles to jump with that, if it just speaks so closely to you that you don't have that sort of self-doubt or that doubt, the mental doubt. I'd love to hear what your experience is.
This is such a great and layered question, and I really appreciate your honesty, and this is something that I explored as well. So first, to establish, like, what is this practice, right? Like, what is Krishna consciousness? What is Hinduism? So Hinduism is a fake word invented by the British, right? About people who practice below the Sindh River. And so really this tradition is called Sanatana Dharma, the eternal truth, the eternal way. It is the root from which all other faiths grow. And I've had the fortune of studying across many different religious traditions, and they all take inspiration from this eternal way and this eternal path. It's actually not exclusivist in that sense, because everything comes from it. It's just going back to the origin of the oldest, most ancient, most established, most scientific, and the most beautiful spiritual tradition in philosophy that exists. Nothing even comes close when you really get deep into studying it. And the foundation of it, of course, is the Vedas, right? And the Puranas. And then you have all of these incredible texts that follow, such as Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana, all of these things. And the conclusion of the Vedas is bhakti. The conclusion of all of this knowledge is love for the Lord. And so then you say, which Lord then, right? We have Christ, we have Buddha, we have Allah, we have Shiva, we have all of them. But there's no incarnation of God who has ever so clearly said that I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Christ said, I am Son of God. Allah said, I am Messenger of God. Buddha is actually considered an incarnation of Krishna who came here to remove illusion and stop meat eating. And so, like I explained earlier, he says in Gita, without any doubt, I am the supreme creator, the life-giving seed to all beings, the one who all the other forms of the Lord worships. You go and you study different Vedas and Puranas. You see Shiva, they ask him, oh great yogi, who do you worship? Who do you meditate upon? He says, I'm chanting the names of Ram, Vishnu, which is Krishna. And then you go ask Brahma, the creator god, and Brahma Samhita, Brahma, what are you meditating upon? And he says, Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I'm worshiping Govinda, Krishna, the eternal primeval form, the creator of all. And so all the texts are in agreement that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And even the other religious traditions, the thing is that while he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, these other religious traditions are not totally garbage, in the sense that they have a unique value, because the Lord meets his devotee, of which we're all devotees of the Lord, whether or not we realize it. He meets them given the specific time, place, and circumstance in their internal mood. Actually, that's the reason that we've all been created, because God is love and love is God. And he wants to experience the unique flavor of love that each of us have to offer to him. And so he sent his servants, he sent his messengers, he sent his devotees, not just to this planet, but to all these infinite planets and infinite universes, to spread this pure science of God consciousness. And so if you practice any of these other faith traditions with sincerity, you'll still make spiritual advancement. But the difference is that it's confirmed that the highest taste, the highest ras, is this very, very sweet, loving relationship with Krishna, who has a beautiful form. He plays his flute. He is in his gardens playing with his friends. And so it's so, so beautiful. And there's no other depiction of God that even comes close to describing him as so attractive. Krishna means the all-attractive one. And so further on, something Dharma would say a lot is the Lord's creation is infinite in all directions, right? Do you realize what that means? And we're all sitting there like, no, it's actually unfathomable. It's unfathomable how vast the Lord's creation is. We are so focused on just this planet, but there's so many other planets and infinite universes all being created, sustained, destroyed, and recycling through the material world. And then there's the same happening in the spiritual realm as well, all these different universes and planets. And so there's no faith tradition that speaks on the scientific time scale and organization of the universe, like the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is explaining all the pastimes of Krishna. It explains the different cycles that the planets go through, how the universe was created, how long it's existing, trillions of years, all these different astrological and scientific exploration of the reality of the Lord's creation, and points to Krishna's planet as being the topmost supreme planet to experience that highest taste. And the thing is that we all have a different and unique qualification in terms of what we're able to achieve spiritually in this life based upon our sukritis, or our spiritual credits that we've developed through pious activity, not just in this life, but past lives as well. So it's a very rare and very unique and very beautiful thing, this Krishna Bhakti. But that's not to say that one needs to totally abandon their faith or their other practices. It's just that it is established in Sanatana Dharma, the most eternal scientific, advanced spiritual system and all their texts, and by our acharyas, our spiritual masters, that this is the ultimate goal that we're striving towards.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that also relates, I was hoping we could speak about the different paths of yoga and how they relate to this too,
Please.
you know?
Please. Well, then on that note, what we hear, if yoga is a wheel and it has all these different spokes, we have Bhakti, Raja, Hatha. I can keep going.
Karma, and Jnana.
Thank you. And Jnana.
These are the
so
four
much.
classical paths, the four classical paths of yoga.
Can you define each one in case the listener has their mind already completely blown
Absolutely.
and doesn't know what any of these terms
Absolutely.
mean?
So
Yeah.
yoga means union, right? Not union with nothing, but union with the Lord in loving service. And it's a soul science, ultimately. And it can be practiced by anyone, regardless of their tradition, race, caste, creed, any circumstance. Everyone can practice yoga. It's totally universal. And it will help you advance on your spiritual life and journey, no matter which faith you follow. At the same time, yoga is the supreme science of the soul. There's a reason we're attracted to these practices and why so many people receive so many spiritual benefits from this. And it's kind of like the goal, the mountain is, at the peak, is love for God. And we're all trying to walk these different paths up. Sometimes we fall down the mountain. Sometimes we go on a different detour. But these yogis, these acharyas, these gurus have walked this path already many times for us and are telling us the easiest route. And the easiest route is love for the Lord. And so karma yoga is the yoga of right action, the yoga of service. And this is really important because so many, we can think of great humanitarians, Mother Teresa, all of these incredible activists who are doing this loving, selfless actions. And in doing so, they're purifying their heart and seeing all beings as equal, which Krishna describes in the Gita. The Supreme Yogi sees all beings as equal because they're part of him. We're all children of God, right? Equal to him in quality. So therefore, we should love and be merciful unto all beings. And then you get into Gyan Yoga, the yoga of knowledge, the yoga of studying the sacred texts. This gets you to the point of self-knowledge, where through studying these texts and through studying yourself, you come to the realization that I am the soul. And so then you go to Hatharaja Yoga. Hatha is part of Raja. It says in Hatha Yoga Pradipika, the topmost text on the science of Hatha Yoga, there is no Hatha without Raja and no Raja without Hatha. And what is Hatha? Hatha is the path of force. It's the first four parts of the 8-limb path of yoga, the ethical and social observations, yama, niyama, and asana and pranayama. Then beyond that, you get into the complete path of Raja Yoga, pratyahara, sense withdrawal, dhyan meditation, and then ultimately liberation. But as we know, the goal of this path of yoga is actually different than the path of Bhakti Yoga. It's liberation to Brahman, which is not fulfilling to the soul. And so then you get to the path, and through the path of Hatha Raja Yoga, it's very useful, especially in this modern era where people cannot follow any of the social regulations. It really rapidly purifies the mind and the body, getting rid of all these health conditions, putting us in this sattvic state, this mode of goodness, so that we can receive higher spiritual knowledge. Then we come to the topmost yoga path and yoga system, Bhakti Yoga, the yoga of love, cultivating this intimate, direct, and personal relationship with the Lord, regardless of form. If you have the credit and the fortune, you can be in service and love to this incredibly beautiful and auspicious form of Krishna, which you are worshiping him if you worship any other form. But the thing is that this is the topmost yoga because of the true desire and nature of the soul to love and to be loved. It's so direct and heart-centered. And by perfecting Bhakti Yoga, all the other yogas are perfected. So this is something that I experienced in my own life, going through all these different yoga systems, even starting at a young age, practicing them and studying them intensively. And really, each soul, we have a different qualification to practice a different type and style of yoga, depending on our internal mood. And this was something that I knew for so long, that having after tried all the yoga systems and spent so much time with Sri Dharma, it was him who told me, basically, you have all the poses, you can meditate easily. In your heart, you want to do Bhakti Yoga, go be a Hare Krishna, go do Bhakti Yoga, right? He sent me off, he said, you're done, go do Bhakti Yoga, which is the culmination of all yoga, and the perfection of our life, really, is to be vessels and servants of God, sharing this divine love, feeling this divine love. And Yes, that is what I would say with regards to the yoga systems. And they're all complementary. They have different ways that they're useful, and they lead us up and up the rings of the yoga systems to practicing Bhakti Yoga.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I really hope that you're enjoying this episode, and I just wanted to take a moment to announce a course that I'm really excited to release. It's a free course, and it's called 8 in 8, Learn 8-Limb Yoga in 8 days. My goal is to help coach you along in the Ashtanga yoga practice in a way where we take just the sun salutations, the fundamental asanas, and the final breathing poses, break it down with some philosophy videos as well, explaining the 8 limbs of Ashtanga yoga in a very easy to use, friendly course that is totally free. Click the link below, check it out. Let me know what you think. All right, let's get back to the episode. It sounds to me then that as myself listening and those listening here now are curious and maybe don't know where to begin, I think you already answered that question earlier, that we just start chanting mantra, the Hare Krishna Mantra.
Exactly.
So it's quite simple. Do we hear sometimes that I came across the idea that, or I've seen it written that they say Bhakti Yoga is one of the most accessible methods of yoga for people in today's how we're living, because of the simplicity of being able to just chant mantra, and and it doesn't matter what environment we're in. It doesn't mean that we have to travel to get to a class to begin practice and
do all these crazy poses,
go through injuries, go through all of the attempt to learn all the anatomical stuff, and where we could just start chanting a mantra. So I guess on that note, then I'd like to ask you, in your view of observing yoga culture as it is today here in USA, and we could probably imagine that it's similar here and in Europe as well, and in South America and all around the world, in relation to the plethora of yoga studios with like Hatha yoga classes, and then we can get into the marketing and commodification of, like, now we have a specific clothing brand that you got to go to the mall, you buy these clothes, you get this particular mat, you match this with that. So, and we see a little bit of this like kind of trendiness in the yoga world, and so then we present this idea into that sphere that all you have to do is chant Hare Krishna.
I know, it's
and
beautiful.
There's this feeling that like, yeah, but I feel like I don't have to do all these poses and take all these pictures and put them on Instagram and kind of build up my ego and build up my persona so that I can appear to be a specific quality of individual. And how do you... I feel like the answer to this question is right in front of me. You're living your practice. And I guess my question is, how do you feel you want to impact the yoga world with this information? But do you see how it's kind of difficult to get the concept of the simplicity of let's begin to chant Hare Krishna and feel the vibration of the mantra, when there's this like alternative view that's been sort of paved for yoga practice? What is our solution here?
It's such a good question. So this age that we're in, the sacred texts describe these different yugas, these different eras that the planets pass through. And we're in the Kali Yuga, the age of materialism, hypocrisy, quarrel, ignorance, disease, war. We see this abundantly. Just look around at the immense suffering that's going on this planet alone. And so it's stated further, it's as simple as chant, 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 chant the holy names. That is the practice assigned for this era. And like I was saying, the analogy of the mountain. In previous eras, it was doing offering to the deities, or doing tapasya, meditation, or doing service, these different other yoga aspects. But in this era, it's very clearly assigned to chant Hare Krishna as the easiest, the most rapid and potent spiritual practice for this time, place, and circumstance that we're in right now. And so the modern yoga culture, to be honest, is just so bogus. And in many ways, sad and sickening to see how there's so much confusion, so much hypocrisy, so much ignorance, and people have a sincere desire to grow and advance spiritually, but they keep getting cheated. I mean, just think about all of these false gurus and problems that we've seen in the modern yoga era, and everybody is inventing their own thing without having a legitimate spiritual practice themselves or a legitimate guru who's approved them and all of these things. So that's why we're so fortunate to have taken the association of a true yogi like Sri Dharma, who's committed his life to this practice, and my guru Shamarani Dasi. Sri Dharma has been practicing like over 55 years now.
Yes.
And my guru, Shamarani Dasi, her birthday, Sri Dharma's birthday is tomorrow and her birthday is on Friday. She joined the Hare Krishna movement at 19 years old. She was the second female disciple of the founder of the movement, Srila Prabhupada, here in the West, in the entire Western world. She's the most senior female devotee on the planet Earth right now. And so the combined, both of them have over 100 years of yoga practice and knowledge that they are pouring into me. And they're pouring it into me when they're at their best. And so I can't emphasize how important it is to have somebody who is more advanced than you, a sincere sadhak, a sincere spiritual master. Because the spiritual master is there to clear all the doubts. And this is a big problem with the modern yoga industry. Everyone's trying to invent their own thing. All of it is very external and material. It's much more complicated than it needs to be. You see, these people are so obsessed with these material practices and poses, but they're not even doing most of them correctly or receiving the right benefit. They're just disturbing their mind more, becoming more rajasic, more active, and they're not getting the fulfillment that their heart truly wants, even though they're trying to. And it's not that it's their fault or anything is wrong with them. It's that they just haven't yet developed the spiritual credits to be so fortunate to come into contact with this higher spiritual knowledge and to have the contact and relationship with a sadhu, a realized one, who is a legitimate spiritual master who can clear these doubts, chastise you, correct you, and give you assignment on how to grow and evolve spiritually.
Yes.
So I would say both of my gurus, my Shiksha Guru, my inspiring instructional guru Sri Dharma, and my Diksha initiating guru Shamarani Dasi, they both very clearly told me, go forth and spread this knowledge that I've given to you. Spread God consciousness, share this love, help people better themselves. And so I take all my inspiration from them, and all I'm doing is trying to serve and glorify them. Nice. And I would say that that is the mood that I try to come into when I'm teaching yoga. It's so easy to make it about yourself. It's so easy to make it about all these crazy poses or Instagram or having the perfect body or how big your class size is. But I realize, not everybody's ready. And not only is not everybody ready, but it's not my job to make them ready. And furthermore, it's not my job to try to change anybody. And even more so, I am not actually doing anything. I am not the doer. I am just here serving the Lord, serving my guru's orders. Whenever I try to have expectations about my students' progress or my classes or offerings, it only leads to more disappointment and frustration. And this has been something that I've been reflecting a lot as somebody who has explored the yoga systems and is now doing Bhakti Yoga. How do I bring this Bhakti Yoga knowledge into this Hatha Yoga environment? Because this is what most people are practicing in the West, Hatha Yoga. They're not doing Raja Yoga. And actually, they're not even really doing Hatha Yoga because they're not following the ethical regulations or principles. Most importantly, the first one, Dharma says, so simply repeating over and over and over again about the importance of ahimsa, being vegetarian, seeing all beings equally, not causing harm to other beings in that way. And then there's so many more, the yamas and niyamas from there. And so how do I do that? Well, really, the practice of the poses and the breath will naturally purify the mind and be in a sattvic state. But even easier than that is just chanting and listening to Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So in my classes, when I play music, I'm only playing Vaishnav mantras, the names of Krishna, the names of Vishnu, or sound healing, nice, healthy stuff. I'm not playing like rap music, lyrical, random music. I find that that's something that really impacts the consciousness and the experience of the practice. And I also like to bring my harmonium in and sing Kirtan for my students when they're in Shavasana. I like to do Kirtan with them. I like to give them the spiritual art, books, and food. And I would say there's all different levels of how receptive they are to it. And my goal isn't to make people Hare Krishnas necessarily. It's nice if they have that qualification and are receptive, but my goal is just really to help them with the basics. Be compassionate. You're not the body. You're not the mind. Listen to this sacred mantra for peace and love. Keep it very, very basic. And those who want more will come to me and get more naturally. And I think that this is really, really good topic to have because so many yoga teachers are watching and so many are kind of also struggling with those same ideas. Like, how do I express my spiritual life and spiritual practice honestly and sincerely and bring it into the yoga setting where most people are just looking for a workout, right?
Yeah, great point. Beautiful. Yeah. Amazing. So if it's so simple, well, obviously you're practicing the Hare Krishna Mantra daily, and so the prescription is 108 times.
So 108 is one round.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna full Maha Mantra, that's one round.
Yeah.
We try to do 16 of that a day.
16.
So that ends up being like around an hour and a half to 2 hours of meditating on the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra on our japa beads specifically.
When you're chanting Hare Krishna and how are you conducting your mind? Are you trying to visualize Krishna playing the flute and being in Krishna Loka and developing a astral connection? Are you
this is a great question.
Are you trying to more feel the way your vocal cords are vibrating and try to use the vibratory element of the sound quality to get your mind to soften? Yeah. What are some of the other techniques that you're blending in? Or maybe there are no other maybe it's kept more, instructions are more simple, just simply chant it and don't. I'd just be curious to hear and then we have our moods, right?
Yeah.
And we have our feelings and we have all these thoughts and we have all this stuff that's like going on, right? So then you come to the practice, and I notice that if I come to the mantra practice, if I come to a Hatha yoga practice, if I come to some sort of little thing that I've put together, I'm deciding I'm going to do as like, this is going to be my practice, right? And some days are really, it just flows so well, right? It's like, and almost like I can feel it when I wake up, or I don't know, I don't want to speak for you, but like I'll wake up and I'll be like, I feel so connected today. Something is really working. I'm feeling great. And you come into the yoga practice or whatever we choose to do, and it just feels like everything's going great. And then there's those days where you wake up and you're just like, why is this such a struggle?
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so I'm curious, what are you finding in relation to navigating all of this? And are you finding there's a specific technique or tool that's really helping you to kind of reorientate yourself to stay focused on the track you're on?
Yes, this is such a great question. I'm loving this exploration. The reason why the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and Japa Mala practice is so potent is because it's the assigned practice for this time and place, and these other spiritual practices of meditation and Hatha Yoga are actually much more challenging to control the mind than just chanting Hare Krishna. Because in a sense, we're trying to force our senses into submission, right? We're trying to control the senses, where it says in Gita, the mind can be your best friend or your worst enemy. And we know from the human condition, our senses are imperfect, our mind is imperfect. We're constantly going through these fluctuations, chitta vritti of the mind. And so when you're chanting and when you're doing devotional service, instead of trying to artificially conquer over your senses, which you see some yogis do and artificially repress them, and then later on they have problems with that, you're actually, instead of going to war with the senses, you're engaging them. You're engaging them all in meditating on Krishna and loving service. So think about japa, for instance, as well. Most important and powerful is just listening. Just listening. Shravanam, listening very closely, because this is a transcendental sound vibration. So if you're just playing it, not even chanting, just listening, That's incredible. You have to listen very, very closely. That's why we chant out loud, so that you can hear yourself chanting. Of course, later on, sometimes we chant internally or silently, but it's assigned to us to chant loud enough so we can hear it ourselves. And from there, then you have your sense of touch. You're feeling the beads on your hands. You have your sense of smell. Often you're in the temple, you smell the incense, you smell a flower, makes you think of Krishna. And then you have your sense of sight. You can have your sight on a beautiful painting like the one you have here, or on the deity itself. And then furthermore, your tongue, which is very voracious and difficult to control. We're taking all blessed food, Krishna Prasadam, his remnants that we first offered to him. And so in all of the capacity of our senses, even when we're serving, sweeping, or cleaning, all of these are actually being engaged instead of artificially controlled or fought against. And this is why it's so easy and potent and so good for everybody to do. And I can say even more so specifically when we're doing just japa meditation, it's encouraged for us to meditate on the name, forms, quality, sound, and pastimes of Krishna. So meditating on he has so many incredible different names, not just Krishna, Govinda, all of these incredible, beautiful names, and also listening. The sound itself, which I find to be the most potent, like when I'm chanting, really trying to listen closely. And even when I'm not chanting, like driving today or doing yoga, in my own personal sadhana, I'm playing only Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. I'm not listening to anything else. And then you can meditate on the form. Meditate on his beautiful long hair, on him playing the flute, on his lotus feet. Or then you can meditate on a specific pastime, like him playing with the gopis in the river, anything of his infinite, incredible pastimes. And so these are different things that we can focus our japa meditation on, and some other mantras that we do internally. But most important and potent is the sound, the transcendental sound.
It's so fascinating when you said that, how important it is to listen to the sound of your own chanting. And that's such an interesting feedback loop, right? Because like, if we're talking, I'm talking to you, I'm probably not taking my mind and listening to myself talk, right? I mean, I don't know how much of us would be putting our attention that closely. So then to be alone, in a sense, I don't want to say talking to myself, but by chanting mantra, it's almost as if I'm that's just a really fascinating concept to me. I don't know if I've ever really fully thought of it like that, but to be able to chant and listen to myself and the sound vibration. Now, obviously we're doing that whether I'm thinking about it or not, but I think that's what I'm most excited about now for next time I get to practice, to like
absolutely listen
sharpen
closely.
Sharpen the listening. That sounds like a really, and then I was imagining you sweeping in the floor at the temple, and maybe the sound of the little brushes going across the floor, and then just turning that into like a little song in a way, like, I don't know, just to sharpen, where then everything becomes this like incredible.
We're thinking internally of the sound of the Hare Krishna mantra all the time. Eventually we get to a point where we're just hearing it all the time.
Yeah.
It's automatic.
Yeah.
Automatic.
Are you experiencing that?
Well, I am trying to get there.
Yeah.
I mean, because I listen to, you think about it like this. First of all, like with this idea of listening and it being internal, like the japa meditation, this chanting is actually very intimate and personal, because it says the Lord is non-different than his names. He is there when you're chanting. It's intimate, direct, personal relationship. He is his holy names. When you're doing kirtan, for instance, you're hearing other people chant in the congregational chanting. So it's more external. It's still very beautiful and important, but it's the difference between coming together and singing it ecstatically for the Lord in an external way versus your japa is like intimately, personally whispering and speaking with the Lord. It's your one-on-one time with Krishna, And then, so that's a really important point.
That's cool, man. Wow. Thank you so much. You've given me a lot to just process and think about. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And practice. I'm really excited to have this opportunity. Our hour has gone by so fast, and I have more questions for you, but
We'll have to do another episode.
Let's do another episode, and hopefully you can come and lead Kirtan here for us one day.
Absolutely.
I know with traffic in Miami now, driving from Juneau to Miami, if you don't time it right, like if I go down to Miami, I need to leave here
crazy.
like 4 a.m. Like I want to leave like before all that traffic starts happening because it can take a while. So I really appreciate you.
No, my pleasure.
Journeying all the way up here in person. That does mean a lot to me. I feel like I like doing things on Zoom, but there's nothing like being able to sit across from somebody and be able to be here with you. I really appreciate that. It's really kind of you, Nico.
Yeah, my pleasure.
It's really kind of you. Thank you.
Well, I want to invite you and all of your audience to come visit us in Miami at Sacred Vedic Arts, Bhakti Yoga Cultural Center. My guru has such incredible original artwork, one of which the prints we have here.
Yes.
Her artwork has been seen by hundreds of millions of people, and we just received 4 new paintings of hers in. And we have incredible programs going on at the temple all the time. Kirtan, I teach yoga there. We feed the homeless. We go out into the streets. We have a party every Friday night, Kirtan party. And it's welcome and open for everybody. You can connect with me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok at Nico Yoga 108. And this summer, I have a very exciting series that's upcoming. I'm doing a cross-country road trip, preaching and teaching yoga and going to a Hare Krishna festival in California and all the way back. So make sure to follow along on that adventure.
Yes.
I'm going to go up to see Sri Dharma in July. And this August, I'm leading a yoga and adventure retreat to Sicily, Italy from the 16th to the 23rd. Private villa, all Krishna prasadam, Ayurvedic food, daily yoga, meditation, beaches, cathedrals. And I hope that you all can connect with us in that way. Tons of recorded yoga classes on my Instagram and like experiences of what it's like to live in the temple. And I'm here to answer any questions you have and really be your eternal well-wisher and supporter in advancing on your spiritual journey and path. Even though I have no knowledge and realization, I can share the little that I've heard from my gurus with you all. So thank you so much for having me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Native Yoga Toddcast is produced by myself. The theme music is dreamed up by Bryce Allen. If you like this show, let me know. If there's room for improvement, I want to hear that too. We are curious to know what you think and what you want more of, what I can improve. And if you have ideas for future guests or topics, please send us your thoughts to info@Native Yoga Center. You can find us at nativeyogacenter.com. And hey, if you did like this episode, share it with your friends, rate it and review, and join us next time.